The Murder Shelf Book Club contains disturbing content related to real-life crimes. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the Murder Shelf Book Club podcast. I am your host, Jill. This is special episode 135. Today in Minneapolis, a gunman opened fire at the Annunciation Church and Catholic School. As I am recording this, 2 children, ages 8 and 10, are dead and 17 injured. The shooter took his own life. A mother who witnessed him opening fire through the stained glass windows said he fired 50 to 100 times. And school just began. The children were in the church praying in the pews. Now, I don't know anything more than anybody else does about this right now. But today I literally released an episode, 133, the third part of the Aurora mass shooting. And as I do with Second Cast, I delved into mass shooters utilizing the very latest data. I'm including all of this information in this unfortunate special episode because I believe that having information and knowing facts can help. I am not trying to capitalize on a tragedy, but I am just trying to provide some information that I have at my fingertips. My heart is broken hearing about this. I cannot imagine the horror and the grief that people are going through there, and it is an ongoing situation. I can only hope that somewhere, somehow, this might help someone out there. The question why remains challenging. Despite examining the shooter's background, the reasons for such actions are complex and elusive. The situation is rare, but mass shootings are likely to continue, and we should focus on understanding the data surrounding active shooters and mass murderers. The FBI published a study in 2013 analyzing active shootings in the U.S. from 2000 to 2013, which includes the Aurora theater shooting data. Notably, 67% of these incidents were over before police arrived, with 56% ended by the shooter. 40% of shooters committed suicide, while others simply stopped shooting or fled. Brave, unarmed civilians interceded, ending 13% of these incidents, with another 13% ended when armed civilians exchanged fire with the shooter. 1.3% involved off-duty police officers intervening, resulting in the shooter's death. 1.3% of these incidents had more than one shooter, and only 3.8% of shooters were female, and all of those incidents occurred on college campuses. Very few shooters used improvised explosive devices or body armor as Holmes did. Now, the FBI also followed up, producing a very ambitious Part 2 of this report, published in 2018. So listen to this. Quote, the FBI's objective was to examine specific behaviors that may precede an attack and which might be useful in identifying, assessing, and managing those who might be on the pathway to deadly violence. End quote. So, of course, I read this. And unfortunately, many active shooters do not show many consistent warning signs, which is problematic for those trying to prevent mass shootings. But it still produced some good information. 77% spent over a week planning their attack. So there is time to take note of this. 46% took at least a week to gather the necessary means for the attack, and most obtained firearms legally. Regarding previous offenses, 35% have prior convictions for things like DUIs and theft, and 2/3 experienced or engaged in bullying, 11% having stalked someone. What this means, though, is that the vast majority have no violent criminal history, so there is no blipping on the radar. Motive. In cases where a primary grievance was identified, 49% of motives were linked to some kind of negative interpersonal relationship or an employer taking action against the shooter, which can be real or utter fantasy. This perceived grievance provides a sense of purpose or a mission for the attacks. Furthermore, in 64% of cases, at least one victim was specifically identified, while broader factors like ideology or hate only accounted for 7% of the cases. In the year before the attack, an active shooter often experiences, on average, 3.6 stressors. They typically display 4 to 5 concerning behaviors, noticeable to others, related to mental health, interpersonal issues, and or communicating violent intentions, all of which Holmes exhibited. Additionally, 21% showed concerning behavior with firearms. So someone with no history of being interested in firearms or wanting firearms suddenly goes out and buys a shotgun. Okay, that's a concerning behavior. So juveniles, so under the age of 18, were more likely to have concerning behaviors noticed by schoolmates and teachers than family members. For adults 18 or over, spouses or domestic partners were the primary observers. So what did people do when they saw concerning behaviors? 83% opted to speak directly with the person, and the rest did nothing. And notably, only 41% of these instances, these concerning behaviors, were reported to law enforcement. That means that recognizing concerning behavior does not necessarily mean it gets reported to the authorities. So please do not think, I noticed this, but I'm sure somebody reported it, because they don't, the vast majority of the time. I was also interested in the stressors, so your physical, psychological, or social forces that negatively impact a person, creating distress. So a word of caution first. While stress correlates with criminal behavior, many people face problems without resorting to violence, crime, or any concerning behaviors at all. This is called normal life. The FBI identified 5 extreme stressors: mental health issues, financial strain, job-related problems, conflicts with family or peers, and marital issues. Nothing shocking there. Now, mental health as a stressor focuses on observable behaviors, such as struggling with depression, anxiety, or paranoia, rather than formal clinical mental health diagnoses. 48% had suicidal ideation, with several attempts occurring within the year before the shooting. It seems obvious, but seeking help for stressed people is crucial. Shooters are not always isolated loners. 51% were never married, 22% were separated or divorced, 68% were living with someone at the time of the incident, and the rest had a strong online presence. And in terms of a specific trigger for the violence, 44% experienced some kind of precipitating event, 14% did not, and 40-something percent, we just don't know. Threats. 55% of individuals made a threat against a target, with 95% of these occurring face-to-face. So my takeaway, if someone threatens to harm you at work next Tuesday and you just wrote him up and his wife just left him, stressing him out, take it seriously and report he's threatening you. Leakage. Now, this occurs when someone hints at their feelings or intentions to a third party, indicating a willingness to commit violence. Take it seriously. Indirect threats are more subtle, vague, possibly joking. James Holmes, the Colorado mass shooter, both leaked and issued indirect threats. Now, his notebook exemplifies what we call a legacy token, a way for the offender to claim credit for their action and explain their motive, which Holmes sent to Dr. Fenton, his psychologist, while in grad school. About 30% of offenders do this. All right, the Active Shooter Incidents 2024 report, published in June 2025, so just a couple months ago, surprisingly states only 25% of active shooters had a diagnosable mental illness, which is about the same as the general population. And please remember, there is no direct causal link between mental illness and violence. One doesn't cause the other. But mental health remains a risk factor, quote, based on vulnerabilities that may be present, problematic behaviors, or impaired judgment, end quote. So from 2020 to 2025, active shooting incidents increased by 70% compared to 2015 to 2019. But from 2023 to 2025, these incidents decreased by 50%. We can only hope this trend continues as we go forth. Oh. And that concludes this special episode. I sincerely hope that it helps someone. So thank you for listening. Your support means a great deal to me. Never doubt it. And I will see you all at CrimeCon Denver next week. Don't forget about my meetup at the Embers Bar Friday at 9. I see you as you hear me. You can share your thoughts with me at jill@murdershelfbookclub.com, on X, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, or join Patreon for $4 a month. The links are on my blog at www.murdershelfbookclub.com, July 2025, with all of my sources, photographs, and show notes. Always trust your gut and lock your doors and windows. I am thinking about you. Written and produced by Jill, all rights reserved. Music, The Pewter Elephant by Blue Dot Sessions.